Nazi UFOs, Roswell Mengele's alien children new evidence. Back in 1947, a group of mutant Russian children, horribly deformed by the death camp Dr. Joseph Mengele, crashed their reverse-engineered Nazi flying saucer into the desert near the town of Roswell in New Mexico. The idea was Joseph Stalin's, and it came to him after reading reports of Orson Welles' radio broadcast, in 1938, of the sci-fi story War of the Worlds, which caused widespread panic in the US. Stalin's idea was to see if he could spook the Americans using a real flying saucer piloted by aliens. So his people got hold of an experimental disc-shaped aircraft that had been built by the Germans in the war. They also persuaded the captured Dr. Mengele to carry on with his grotesque experiments to create a cadre of odd-looking humans that would make the Americans believe they were under extraterrestrial attack. And after realizing that everyone did indeed believe it was aliens, the CIA was happy to go along with this story as it helped divert attention to what the Americans were really up to. Bunkers? Probably. This is the latest theory to explain the Roswell incident, the linchpin of UFO lore. So it wasn't aliens after all, says American journalist Annie Jacobson, who has written an entertaining, and otherwise plausible, history of Area 51, the secret military testing ground in Nevada just up the road from Roswell. That's the problem with conspiracy theories, like penicillin-resistant superbugs, they constantly mutate and evolve, resisting all sensible efforts to kill them off. I do not think space aliens landed in Roswell in 1947, but I think I am more prepared to believe they did than the Mengele Nazi flying saucer story. It perhaps falls into the category of so extraordinary it might just be true, but somehow I doubt it. It is now 64 years since the invention of the UFO, and 3 weeks ago we celebrated World UFO Day to mark the anniversaries not only of the Roswell incident but also the famous sighting of crescent-shaped craft skipping through the air like a stone skimming on water by pilot Kenneth Arnold, who was flying over Mt. Rainier near Seattle. Since then interest in UFOs has waxed and waned. It reached a high point sometime in the late 1970s, when I remember a UFO spotting appearing almost nightly on the TV news. Then it dropped off a bit, to be revived dramatically by the advent of the television series The X-Files, a drama which millions seemingly have mistaken for a documentary. Interest seems to be growing again. A few weeks ago someone spotted a triad of mysterious lights over the BBC in London. Why do so many people believe in UFOs? Specifically that we are being visited by beings from another planet/dimension/time, when the evidence is so thin? It is an odd phenomenon, and needs explaining. For what it is worth, I think that although the Nazi saucer idea is bonkers, Ms. Jacobson is certainly on to something when it comes to deliberate disinformation. It has long been a pet theory of mine that the UFO craze has been deliberately stoked by the security agencies in the US, and elsewhere, as a smokescreen to throw spies and the simply curious off the scent of secret military experiments being performed in Area 51 and elsewhere. We know that some pretty amazing kit has developed over the years, from the State Route 71 spy plane that could cruise at 3 times the speed of sound, to the high-altitude U-2, stealth bombers and fighters, some of which look very flying saucer-like, and a new breed of unmanned robot spy planes and drone attack aircraft that are in action over the skies of Afghanistan. The problem with testing top-secret aeroplanes, even if you have 5,000 square miles of remote, top-secret desert in which to do so, is that inevitably someone will spot them. So what better than a cover story aliens? To throw people off the scent. It is interesting that immediately after Roswell the authorities did little to dissuade people that it was indeed a flying saucer that had crashed, hardly the behavior one would expect if the grand conspiracists are right. If Roswell was a cover-up, it must rank as the worst cover-up in history. Google Roswell and you get 41 million hits. That's more even than you get for Princess Diana. If this is supposed to be a secret, someone should tell the men in black. And sack them forthwith. Area 51, An Uncensored History by Annie Jacobson. Now back to Mengele's alien children. The Associated Press reported a few days ago that archaeologists in Berlin have unearthed a large number of human bones from a site close to where Nazi scientists carried out research on body parts of death camp victims sent to them by sadistic SS Dr. Joseph Mengele, officials said Thursday. Experts have been examining the site in Berlin's upscale Dahlem neighborhood since a small number of bones were found there in 2014 during road work on a property belonging to Berlin's Free University. In the dig they uncovered numerous fractured skulls, teeth, vertebrae, and other bones, including those of children. Susan Pollock, a professor of archaeology at the university who was one of the leaders of the team, said in a statement. The bones found in 2014 were never identified, and the new discovery provides researchers a new possibility to illuminate the unusual find and the circumstances under which they were buried, said Jörg Haspel, the leader of Berlin's office that oversees memorial sites. Several of the vertebrae found had traces of glue on them, indicating they may have been parts of skeletons on display. The site is about 100 yards, away from what was the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Human Heredity and Eugenics in the Nazi era. The world-famous Kaiser Wilhelm Society predated the Nazi era and once counted famous scientists like Albert Einstein among its directors. During the Nazi dictatorship, however, the Dahlem Institute was closely associated with pseudoscientific race research, and notorious Auschwitz physician Mengele as well as others are known to have sent many body parts there for study. It was also known to have a collection of bones from Germany's colonial era, among others. Experts now plan to use osteological identification methods to try to learn more about the newly discovered bones, and should at least be able to determine the general age of the person, their sex, and how many different people's bones were found, Pollock said. Results are expected at the earliest at the end of the year. A working group of the university, the city, and the Max Planck Society, which the Kaiser Wilhelm Society was renamed after the war, has been keeping in close contact with Germany's Central Council of Jews and Central Council of Sinti and Roma on the archaeological work. Earlier this year, the Max Planck Society ordered a complete review of its specimens collection after discovering human brain sections in its archive that were from victims of Nazi Germany's so-called euthanasia program in which psychiatric patients and people with mental deficiencies were killed. The Max Planck Society has accepted a difficult legacy of its predecessor organization, the Kaiser Wilhelm Society, said Society President Martin Stratmann of his organization's participation in the ongoing archaeological investigation. We are well aware of the special responsibility that it entails. Could this be the ones from the experiments? Hopefully they can rest in peace, and let's hope something like this never happens again. Stay paranoid, my friends.